What's up, everybody? Welcome back to our channel. Thanks for joining us. Here we are back with another episode for our Project Rx-7. And as you guys did see, last week we did tear down the interior. And with that being said, we actually had some trim that was reusable and some that wasn't. So I actually took the liberty of ordering the trim panels that we actually did need. Now, although we did get everything for a good price, some of the panels are actually on back order, which did delay us, and it actually delayed our video a bit here. So for that, I do apologize. But moving on to our content today, as you guys can see behind me here, I do have the trim panels actually laid out. So what we're going to be doing today is we're actually going to be cleaning up the panels that we do have that are reusable, so that way we can prep them for the reinstall. And as you guys can see, we actually have the panels laid out exactly how they would be in the car. All this does is give me a visual when I'm going about the cleaning process. So today's video is once again going to be another time-lapse video, as it will take me some time to clean up these panels. So step one of how we're going to go about this process is actually I'm going to use degreaser. And what that does is that actually rids the panels of any dirt, debris, grease that may have been placed on the panel over time. And step number two is us using an interior trim restorer, which is actually going to give us that luster we once had. So let's get started. And a couple things that I did want to go over before we actually get started. I did leave the gauges installed in the old gauge cluster hood. As you guys did see in the last video, our gauge cluster hood is broken. So I did go ahead and order a new one, and that part is actually on its way. And next, we still did have some of the trim bezel still installed in the actual door panels themselves. I will be also taking those out of there, as well as removing that map lid there. As you guys can see, we actually do have the smooth textured finish, and it did get scratched up, which it does kind of create some inconsistencies here in the bezel. So I'm actually going to try to locate those. You can't buy these, or I haven't seen any place that you can buy these from anywhere. So I'm actually going to do some digging online to see if maybe we can get some new ones. And as for the other door panels, same deal. We're going to be uninstalling the trim bezel there, and also we're going to do some test fitting on this handle here today, just to kind of see how it fits. And I'm also going to give you a kind of a side-by-side view of the old handle versus the new handle. I think the new handle looks a lot better. And that's going to complete step 1 of us cleaning up the interior. What we did is we took the degreaser to it, got all the dust and debris cleaned up from all the parts here. Just like with a lot of your older trim, you still do see some scuff marks, so we're actually going to move on to step 2, get the restorer in there. Just to mention, quick mention, the bends were the biggest tackle. Just if you guys can see, the bends do have like these grooves inside like the buckets or on the bucket lids. So those were the biggest challenge going forward. But other than that, we got everything cleaned up. We got the trunk trim out of there as well. A couple pieces will not be used, or will not need to be used. As you can see, these are very discolored, for one. For two, they go over the rear strut tower bar, and that's actually going to be in the way when we do decide to put the cage in. So won't be reusing those. So we're just going to move on and get the rest of this cleaned up here, and we're going to get the restorer on. So before we begin hitting all the trim, I did want to do a little demonstration on the restorer, how it looks now versus when we, or after we do apply the restorer. So right now, as you guys can see, we do have some scuff, some pretty harsh scuff marks, just from over time, and we're looking to get most of this out. It's not going to be perfect. Especially, you know, trim from the 90s, it's never going to be perfect unless you buy it brand new. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to save this trim piece by giving it as much love as possible. And what I mean by that is applying some stuff to kind of restore the color and give it that clean, fresh look, and give it almost a like new feel. So what we're going to do is I'm going to apply the restorer to the left, and I'm going to leave the right just how it is, just with the degreaser on it, and see if we can notice some kind of difference here. So now looking at it, I can definitely see a difference. We definitely got this side a lot cleaner, gave it a little bit of a shine, and it definitely looks better than the right here, which still has some discoloration, still has some scuff marks there. So the trim restorer definitely did work. We're actually gonna clean this up a little bit more right before we reinstall it and give it more of a shine. All this does is just restore it to that black color that it originally once had, which it definitely did a good job of that. So you guys can use any trim restorer that you want to, or any trim restorer of your choice. As long as it doesn't ruin the original finish, you guys should be fine. And you just apply that to the surface here, and it'll give you that like new feel. So gonna finish up the rest here.
Answer on the beat. Answer on the beat.
So now that we have the restore on there, that pretty much wraps it up for us really cleaning the interior. As I mentioned before, we're actually going to put a last coating on the interior before we do decide to reinstall, and that's going to give it that shine. But right now, we actually put a nice couple of coats of restore on each panel, and let me tell you guys, that stuff worked out way better than I thought. I don't know if you guys remember how these pieces looked prior to me doing that, but it completely restored it back to that same black finish it once had. You have a little bit of discoloration here, but that either looks like heat damage from the sun possibly, or just over time it just started to deteriorate there. But even still, I mean, prior to me doing this, how it looked before, I mean, it's definitely a night and day finish. We definitely got a night and day finish on all these panels. It seems that the door panels actually soaked it up. Not in a bad way, it just soaked it up to where it pretty much looks incredible. So lastly, to finish up, I'm actually going to put a protectant over it, over the restorer. So that way we can keep this same look and we don't have to keep going back and forth with the restore, trying to get these panels cleaned up. So that's going to wrap up this video for the night. And yeah, moving forward, I have some cool things in store for you guys with the interior as well as the 13B build as well. So stay tuned for that. So guys, that's going to wrap up today's episode, and that's definitely going to wrap it up for the interior, at least for now. So stay tuned for the next episode, as we will be having some major content on the Rx-7. So a bit of an update on the 13B. I do have some good news. We did find some suitable rotor housings for our fresh rebuild. I've also reached out to a few other companies as far as getting the irons cleaned up and getting the rotors inspected, so that way we have those for our fresh rebuild as well. So for those of you just now tuning in to our Rx-7 build here, you're not going to want to miss what's coming up next. So please go ahead and hit the subscribe button below. Also give our content thumbs up. As always, Brian with Briggs Motorsports. See you guys next week.